Hey, what up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? My beautiful, 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 beautiful kings and queens out there. Hey, so apparently it's a force that don't want me to get this video out because I recorded the whole video, and got out everything I wanted to say, and it did not record the audio. So I gotta show the devil, show the enemy, he don't get no wins around here. You don't get no wins around here, Satan, at all. And I'm re-recording the video again like it ain't nothing. So let's get into what we talking about today. So if you read the description, then you already know we are talking about Kendrick Lamar's new album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. We are decoding this album, not the album. We are decoding the name of the album and the artwork. And basically the goal of this whole thing is to get, a lot of people thinking, and to basically, start the argument, or, get people to see whatever it is they need to see. But what we talking about is this album, and the name of the album, is the album period, is it strategic marketing or is it strategic deception? And if you watching, then you probably already know which direction I'm going with it. But I want y'all to think about what's going on. So the reason why I'm creating this video is just because, you know, I see that it's a lot going on in the world. And the Lord done opened my eyes up to a lot of deception that's going on out here that is basically being disguised, but at the end of the day, it's being you being we are being deceived in plain sight, and a lot of people are not bothering to look deeper than the surface level, so the deception just keeps going on and on and on, and people are getting led down a dark path. So with that being said, we gon' break down this whole thing. We gon' decode this album artwork and the name of the album, and we gon' figure out what's going on here. So let's let's start with my history with Kendrick Lamar, just to debunk a lot of claims to where basically I'm just trying to attack him. I'm trying to demonize success, and things like that, because when I first made a post about this, you know I had people coming at me basically like, oh no, nah, this is messed up, you trying to demonize success and stuff like that. And of course that's not the case, because you know I'm I've actually been a Kendrick Lamar fan since the beginning of his career. So, I've been following him the whole time. I've been listening to all of his music. I've been right along with everybody else, dancing right along to it, singing along with the songs and everything. But recently, my eyes have been open, and I'm just trying to get the message out to other people so we can make sure that we aren't out here getting deceived, especially getting deceived in plain sight, just because we not bothering to look or listen any deeper than the surface level in what's right there in front of us. And honestly, the deception is really right there in front of us, but majority of the time we get caught up in the fact that we have been following an artist for however long, and we feel like we know the artist. We feel like basically like we don't like we buddies with them or something like that, because we've been following them and we've been listening to their music, we've been supporting their music for however long. And I get it. Honestly, I understand because I was really the same way. I've been listening to Kendrick Lamar since way back since I started listening to Kendrick Lamar when he dropped Section 80. And when I first heard that album, I was just like, whoa, like, yo, this dude is one of the realest dudes I have ever heard on a record. And honestly, I predicted him being as big as he is today. I knew that he was basically gonna be the biggest artist, like in the world. Like I predicted it when I heard Section 80. I was just like, nah, this dude is gonna be the biggest artist. Like there's nobody that's gonna be bigger than him. So I'm not coming up here just so I could like bash him or nothing like that, or bash nothing he's doing or nothing like that. I'm simply here to just speak the truth and let y'all make y'all decision of whether you agree with it or not. You could disagree, you could agree to disagree however you want to, whatever you feel is best for you. Like, you know, it is what it is. But like I said, I've been following Kendrick Lamar since the beginning of his career, and ever since Section 80, I started listening to him during Section 80, and then I went back and I listened to the Kendrick Lamar EP, but I was still way more impressed with Section 80. And from that point on, I was following him with every project, every album that he dropped. So when he finally dropped Good Kid, Mad City, I was happy as I don't know what, because I really felt like he was an artist that represented me and what I was. Like I felt like almost like we was like the same person, like mirror, damn near mirror, mirror souls or some shit like that. You know, just because he from LA and I'm from Chicago, but I felt like we was going through the same stuff. Like Good Kid, Mad City. I felt like he was just a good kid growing up in this chaotic place and just trying to make sense of it and trying to survive in this type of environment, and doing the best he could, and basically getting wrapped up in all of this bad stuff because it was just all that surrounded him. And so I completely resonated with that from the beginning. I was just like, yo, this is the music that represents me. So I was basically, Kendrick Lamar was my favorite artist other than Nas. Kendrick Lamar was my favorite artist. So even ever since then, up until recently, he was. So now that my eyes have been open to a lot of the things that's going on, I just want to put the information out there so that other people can think about it and be like, okay, what's really going on here? So, you know, honestly, I've had people in the kingdom, who are actual Christians tell me that I'm tripping and I'm basically, I'm just bringing up devil propaganda basically, and that Kendrick Lamar is one of the biggest pushers of Christian values. And I had to tell that person like, you might want to do your research and go back and look again, because you know that is clearly not the case. So we gonna get into this. We gonna break it down and we gonna figure out what's really going on here. So like I said, I've been listening to him from the beginning all the way up until recently, and now my eyes is really being open to what's been going on, and I've been kind of witnessing Kendrick Lamar and his music and things like that, kind of like just go down a more negative path, and I didn't even realize it at first, because even back to the last album, Damn, I was supporting that album. I was a huge supporter of that album. I was rocking to it. I was dancing to it. I was singing all of the songs and everything. But at the same time, I didn't really know what I was listening to. There was certain things that I would just kind of let it go. I wouldn't really focus on it. You know, the stuff that he was talking about, I wouldn't really focus on it. I would like pick out the things that really did represent me, and then I would be messing with that hard. And then the other stuff, it would just kind of go over me, and I basically just would let it slide like other people do. You know, this an artist that you've been supporting for the longest, so basically whatever they drop, you already know it's gonna be good music, so you gonna support it. And you know, I understand. So that was the point that I was coming from. So if anybody else been basically feeling that same way or felt that same way, then I know exactly how that is, because that's the same direction that I was coming from with the whole thing. Now, with that being said, we gotta really dive into this, because there's a lot to unpack here with this whole with the album name and with the album artwork. There is a lot to unpack here, especially when we talking about kingdom values and stuff like that, and you know whether or not this supports any anything that would even be consistent with being called like Christian values or something like that. So let's dive into it. So let's start with the name. So let's just start with the name of the album. So the name of the album, what we got? So we got the name of the album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. So when you first think about that name, what is that what does it really mean to you? Um it don't really mean nothing. Like it don't really make no sense, especially when you're looking at it and you comparing it to the artwork. If you thinking, okay, Mr. Morale in the Big Steppers, like let's say, all right, let's say we were to completely put the artwork out and we were to just only hear about the name, it would be Mr. Morale in the Big Steppers. Okay, you would think, like, let's say you just looking at it from a surface level, like just only on the surface level. Like, okay, you know, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, like he's talking about being a moral individual and doing big things, making big moves. Like I could really get with that. You know, pretty much anybody could get with that, whether you a street person or whether you just a Christian person, whether you any type of person, just a person in the kingdom. It doesn't really matter. Pretty much anybody can get with that. But when you really think about it, why, when you put it with the artwork, why doesn't it make any sense? Now, what I've come to find out is the reason why it doesn't make sense is because it's not supposed to make any sense, because it is to further an agenda. You know, at the end of the day, Kendrick Lamar is a signed artist. So he signed a contract. He signed up to push a certain agenda that, you know, maybe he may not fully even want to push, but at the same time, you know, there are people that want a certain agenda to be pushed, and he signed a contract. So basically, he signed up to be the person that will push that agenda. So, with that being said, what does the name of the album really mean? And what is the agenda that he is trying to push, or that he is pushing with this? Because, of course, he didn't just create this by himself. You know, a lot of people will argue, well, some people will argue that basically what we see right here in the name of the album is just marketing. So they would chalk it up to where it's just marketing. That it doesn't have to mean anything more than that. We don't have to look deeper than that because it's just marketing. But at the same time, there are certain people in high places that are basically counting on that type of mindset. So to where you're not gonna look deeper than the surface, you're just gonna take it for what it is, and then you're just gonna keep supporting it, keep singing it, and keep going along with it. So with all that being said, let's figure out what does all of this really mean and what is the agenda that is being pushed right here. So rather than me sitting here and trying to explain it all to you myself, I found a video from somebody that is a real truth type person that has already figured out all of the information. And I'm going to play the video for you, and I'm going to let you get the information from him. So I'm gonna play the video, and then I'm gonna let you know who the content creator is, who the YouTuber is. So if you want to look further into it, then you can go to his channel. You can see his other videos and stuff like that. So let's get into it.
Okay, so now let's get into the shocking part, right? His new album that drops Friday, Mr. Moral and the Big Steppers. Now, if you're familiar with masonry at all, and peep the white and black, right, that he's wearing in that Heart Part 5 music video, he's wearing the duality, right? He's doing the Masonic pose, right? That X, the same X they had the Black Panther do, right? That same pose, right? But if you're familiar with Masons at all, then you would understand that this book looks very familiar, right? Even the name, Mr. Moral, right? Moral, just like morals and dogma of the ancient and accepted rite of Scottish Rite Freemasonry, right? Written by Albert Pike. And look at the similarities from this book and the Holy Bible, right? That same maroon color, gold writing, right? And the writing on the side, just like the writing on the side. Look at the similarities of what they do, man. They copy and paste. They copy and paste, right? Morals and dogma, just like this album that he's getting ready to drop, Mr. Moral and the Big Steppers. That same format. Then he takes the picture in front of a maroon and gold rug. You think that was by accident? That he's just color coding like this? No, it's for a reason. Just like everything that they do. And peep how he master copy, right? Let's continue, man. The Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike, right? He wrote this book in 1871, where he says Lucifer, the light bearer, strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. Lucifer, the son of the morning, it is he who bears the light, and with its splendors and intolerable blinds feeble. Man, I ain't finna read that bullshit he talking about. But you see, he's saying Lucifer, the light bearer. All that goddamn Shakespeare ass shit, right? It who what thou sees the man, get your ass on. All this slick talking, all this little slick talking you doing. But we see how these folks get down. This is something else that was said by Albert Pike. I'm not gonna read this whole thing. I want to point your attention to the last quote. He says that which we must say to a crowd is, we worship a God, but it is the God that one adores without superstition. To you, sovereign grand inspectors general, we say this, that you may repeat it to the brethren, right? The brothers of the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degrees. So at the 30th degree, this is when you learn this doctrine right here. This is where they reveal to you the truth about who you've been serving, right? They said a Masonic religion should be, by all of us initiates of the high degrees, maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine, He says if Lucifer were not God, would Adonai, whose deeds prove his cruelty, uh, pertify, and hatred of man, right? Barbarism and repulsion for science. Would Adonai and his priests man, fuck all these words that this nigga using. Yes, Lucifer is God, and unfortunately, Adonai is also. He says unfortunately, Adonai is also God. For the eternal law is that there is no light without shade, no beauty without ugliness, no white without black. That's the duality right there. For the absolute can only exist as two gods, darkness being necessary to the statue and the break to the locomotive. Thus, the doctrine of Satanism is a what's that hearsay? Here's whatever the hell he's saying. He's saying right here that the true and pure philosophical religion is the belief in Lucifer, the equal of Adonai. But listen to what he finna call him. But Lucifer, God of light and God of good, is struggling for humanity against Adonai, the God of darkness and evil. They done switched it around. Good is bad, bad is good. And this is the person that you mold your album off of. This man that didn't say it all this what you gonna sculpt your next album off of. But that's not even it. We're gonna get into the numerology, right? Morals and dogma. He's giving honor, right, to his godfather, right? This is who they call the godfather of Freemasonry. He didn't wrote this book. This morals and dogma book is what gets passed on to the 30th degree. The 30th degree. When you hit the 30th degree, you receive this book. And you take on these ideologies, right? But let's get into the numbers. Let's get into the synchronicities between Albert Pike and Kendrick Lamar, right? Because it has to be some type of connection, right? Because he's given homage, right? He's giving homage to his godfather right here. So it has to be some type of connection, right? Albert Pike equals 63, just like the day Kendrick Lamar was.
All right. So after that, he goes into the actual numerology of how these two things tie together and how Kendrick is referring back to this book and how the book refers back and Albert Pike refers back to, like, he goes into all the numerology and everything of how these tie back to each other. So if you want to dig more into it, I definitely recommend going to his channel and watching the rest of the video, watching the whole video, because he breaks it down like crazily, and he got all of the numerology and everything to back it up. So if you want to look it up, the name of his page, the name of his YouTube channel, he got two channels. So the first channel is Everything's a Coincidence, and the second channel is Call Me Kinfolk. So look up his channels. He got all kind of truth on both his channels, just basically exposing different artists and different events that go on in society and in the industry, basically for furthering this satanic and Masonic agenda. And that's basically what we got going on here. So now that we've gotten to the bottom of what's going on here, now things start to make a lot more sense. Now it starts to make a lot more sense how the name of the album would actually tie back to this artwork, because at first there would be no connection. It would make no sense whatsoever. Like, come on, Mr. Moral and the Big Steppers, and then you look at this artwork and then you say, okay, what is there about this artwork that's moral? How does it tie back to this? So now that we have actually gotten the information that we need, which is how does any of this make any sense whatsoever, now let's decode this actual artwork, because we got a lot to unpack here. This is a lot going on, a lot of messages that's being put through, but I feel like a lot of people are just sweeping it under the rug because they like, oh well, it's Kendrick. We already know that he's a good artist. We already know that he's a moral person. So we're not even bothering to look deeper than the surface. So let's 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 decode this right now. Now let's start with the setting. Let's look at the setting. This is this is like a broke down rinky dink roach motel, somewhere in who knows where, but this don't look like nowhere that nobody would actually want to stay. This looks like basically a step up from being homeless. So if you was a homeless person, then yeah, you would love to stay here because it's a step up from being homeless. But we all know that Kendrick is a multimillionaire. He anybody that knows anything about him knows that he stay in like up in the hills somewhere in California, in the Hollywood Hills somewhere. He's not about to be caught dead staying in some rinky dink motel or just a room with patches and all that type of stuff on the wall like this. So it makes no sense. Like it would never happen. For a multimillionaire to be in these type of conditions, other than the fact that it is to further an agenda and to desensitize the people in the audience to these type of conditions. So right off the back, just the setting and everything, it doesn't make any sense other than to further a dark agenda and to desensitize the viewers and the public to these type of conditions. So right off the bat with the setting, we already know that this is not marketing. This is strategic deception. So let's go even deeper into it because like I said, there's a lot to unpack here. Like there's a lot going on in this picture, in this artwork. So beyond just the setting, let's decode the props because there's a lot of props in here, a lot of things going on, all at the same time. So let's look at the props. So let's start with the bed. Like, come on, look at this bed. This bed look like it got one sheet on it and then one super thin blanket right there. Like, come on. This is like the most basic sleeping conditions that you could get that would actually still be a bed, other than just having the bare mattress itself. And then look at this. What is this? A puddle of blood? What is that? Like, nobody knows what that is, but clearly it was put there for a reason because everything is for a reason. Nothing is for no reason. But it looks like a puddle of blood or something like that. We don't know what that is. We have no idea what that is. And then you just got the pillows. So you just got basically almost a bare mattress with a blanket on it and some pillows. And of course, we all know that there's no way that Kendrick would be sleeping on this type of bed, especially with his whole family. So, and let's break down the fact that the family is in the photo because come on, look at this. So you got the family in the photo. You got your baby basically with no clothes on, like no clothes on whatsoever. And like even even before we get to the kids and everything, just where would Kendrick be staying if he even were to stay in a hotel or something like that? He would be off in like the Ritz Carlton or something like that, or the DoubleTree. He would never be staying in a place like this, especially with millions of dollars in your bank account. There would be no reason. There would be no purpose for it. So now back to the kids. Back to the kids. Basically, the kids don't have no clothes on. So you got the baby. Basically, this is like hood conditions right here. Basically, how your kid would be walking around if you didn't have no money to buy clothes for the kids. Which, of course, we all know that Kendrick has money to buy clothes for his kids. He could buy his kids Jordans, Yeezys, designer, whatever they want to wear. Of course, we know that this is what they have. Not even that he could buy them this type of stuff. We know that this is what they have. His kids are not walking around with no clothes on, with basically just the onesie with the unzipped, like unbuttoned at the bottom, and then with the newborn basically with just the pamper on. This is how your kids will walk around in the hood if you can't even really afford to buy them no clothes like that. Then that's how your kids will be walking around, no shoes on or nothing like that. And then on top of the fact that the kids don't have no clothes on, so you didn't buy no clothes for the kids, but they got an anklet on, like a gold anklet on. So like, come on, like already this is basically desensitizing the people to these type of conditions and saying that this type of living is okay. Like, it's okay to have your baby with gold on but no clothes. Like, even if you just walking around the house or something like that, if you got money to put clothes on your kids, then your kids are gonna have clothes on. Your kids are not just gonna be walking around like almost naked or just only with the onesie on and some in a pamper and an anklet on. Like, that's not gonna happen. So clearly, this is to desensitize the audience and the public and to these type of like poverty conditions, and to further a negative agenda that this type of stuff is okay, you know. And so that's that's the whole thing about the family. So like, and that's still not even all of it. That's still not even the blasphemous stuff. So let's get to the straight blasphemy, because there's definitely complete blasphemy in this whole picture right here. So let's go with the crown, with the thorn on. So already, just the fact that he has this crown, this thorn crown on in the first place, you are automatically positioning yourself as either a representation of Christ, either Christ, a representation of Christ, or a Christ like figure. So regardless of whether you get on the album and then you say, "Oh well, I'm not your savior," you have already you've already positioned yourself as a savior type figure, because otherwise there would be no reason for you to have the crown on. Like, no reason beyond the fact that it's very blasphemous for you to even have this crown on and basically be portraying yourself as Christ. You can try to downplay it all you want and say, "Oh no, I'm not your savior," but you're still portraying yourself as Christ, as the savior, as the Messiah. You are portraying yourself as that. And there's no way to get around that. You can say whatever you want. There's no way to get around the fact that you are portraying yourself as Christ or a Christ-like figure. Now, I don't care how you get on the album and try to say you're not the savior, but if you know about these type of beliefs that he's trying to further, this only supports the basic belief system that he has, which is basically that he has to deceive you in plain sight. Because of course, these like Masons and stuff like that, they know the Bible back and forth. So they know that anything that's done in the dark must come to the light. So their belief is that if they deceive you in plain sight, then it erases their karmic debt, into where they're never gonna have to see any consequences from it or nothing like that. So that is why this is the case. So that's why he's to the point where he's wearing the crown, of course, positioning and portraying himself as a Christ-like figure, but yet he would get on the album and say, "Oh, but I'm not your savior," because of course he has to deceive you in plain sight. He has to contradict himself basically, and because according to his beliefs, I am not gonna touch and agree with this. I am not gonna touch and agree with this beliefs. But according to their beliefs, like the Masonic beliefs, like satanic worship, the Baphomet, worshiping the Baphomet and stuff like that, they believe that on the day of judgment, basically they're gonna be able to turn around and then point at the viewer and point and say it was their fault because I told them that I wasn't their savior, but they still chose to follow me. They still chose to listen to me and and view me in this type of light. So would you really want to support somebody where on the day of judgment they already preparing to turn the finger on you like, oh no, it was their fault. I know even if I was leading them down a dark path, down a satanic path to hell, it was their fault for following me because I told them that I wasn't their savior. Like, is that somebody that you wanna support? Is that something that you would want to be about? Because at the end of the day, we all gonna have to answer. And if you following this type of stuff and you listen to this type of music, you might be able to tell yourself that you're not being influenced by it in no way, shape, or form. But that is simply not the case. Because even Kendrick and even all of the marketers and all of the higher ups, the people who signed him and the people who really are trying to push this agenda, they know that words are spells. So there is no way possible that you're going to be able to listen to this type of music and not basically take on that energy. You're basically you're gonna reciprocate this in some type of way because it's manifestation. Whatever you pay attention to is basically what you are. And what you give your energy to is what you are. So as you listen to this, the words are gonna get stuck in your head. So even as I listen to it, like I tried to look over some words to some songs on the Damn album, and even after I looked over the words, just looking up the lyrics were stuck in my head. So even me, I'm still prone to this stuff. So even with me being conscious about what's going on, I'm still prone to the spell that's going on. So I have to literally verbally rebuke this stuff and say, no, no, I don't touch and agree with this. I rebuke it. I rebuke it. And then I have to replace it with something else in my mind so that it goes away. And that's the only way that I won't be prone to the spell, and be taking that same energy with me. So if you listening to this stuff and you not rebuking every word that you hear that don't align with your values, then you are taking on that energy. You are basically manifesting these same type of conditions that you are listening to. So if you know about energy and you know about manifestation and you know about stuff like that, then that'll make perfect sense to you. Now, if you don't, then I definitely recommend that you look more into it and take me for what I'm saying, because what you pay attention to becomes you. You gave your energy to it, and even they know that it's all about energy, and they know as you pay attention to it, they receive your energy, and that you're gonna take on these ideals because it's desensitizing you to it, and you're gonna be used to it. So they know exactly what they're doing. They're deceiving you in plain sight. So whether this is all the work of Kendrick and he alone, mapped all of this out, or he had a team of other people that came together and said, okay, yeah, do this like that, put that right there. Everything that is in this artwork was strategically put there for a reason. And that reason, in my opinion, is to strategically deceive you and to lead you down a dark path of destruction. So now that we got past the crown, which is the most blasphemous thing in the whole artwork. Now let's go to what I ain't even get to the part of, look at this crown. This is this crown is bezeled out in diamonds. I heard something about it was like 8,000 diamonds in the crown. So look at this. So basically, this is conditioning you to the fact that it is okay to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars. That crown probably costs like $100,000 or more or something like that with 8,000 diamonds in it, and but it's conditioning you to where it's okay to spend this type of money on jewelry, but then you live in these type of conditions. So like come on. And of course that's just unacceptable. Why would you have a crown with 8,000 diamonds in it when you could basically cash in that crown and maybe even buy this whole building? You know, if not buy the whole building, at least buy a a place to stay, buy a like a night, like a month's worth of nights in there, probably way more than a month's worth of nights up in there, because that don't look like it costs more than $100 a night. If you were to pay nightly, that look like it costs like $50 a night. So you could stay there for like a year just for cashing in that crown. So why would it make any sense for anybody to be living in these type of conditions with a bezeled out crown on, let alone Kendrick Lamar, who we know is a multimillionaire? So we already know this is just clearly to strategically deceive the public and to lead them down in that type of direction. Like, okay, your baby ain't got no clothes on and you got a bezeled out crown on, but you living in crappy living conditions. That's basically only a step up from being homeless. Like barely a step up from being homeless. So that's the most blasphemous thing, is that crown right there. And he really needed to take that off, because this is a complete mockery to Christ. That's all it is. They're mocking Christ right in your face just to get you sensitized to it and be like, okay, well, you know, it's okay that he's mocking Christ. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's how people are thinking. Even Christians, even hardcore Christians, are basically like turning a blind eye to the fact that he is completely blaspheming the name of Christ and the image of Christ, completely blaspheming it. And now let's go to the last thing, which is the gun right here in the back. So let's break this down. So you got a gun right there in your back, and you got your kids around, you got babies around and everything like that. Like what would happen if you were to put that kid down for a second, and then the kid mess around playing around, pull the gun out of your back, and you forgot to put the safety on, and then the kid mess around and shoot himself? Like, how could anybody like accept this as being something that's okay for you to just be openly brandishing a weapon around small children like this, especially when it's not even necessary? Like, you could have had it under the shirt or anything like that, or you could have just only had your wife around, and then maybe it'd be like, okay, yeah, you know, I guess that's not too bad. But no, you openly brandishing a gun around small children, and basically you're desensitizing them to that type of lifestyle. Because of course, if your kids walk around and they see you openly brandishing weapons and stuff like that, then of course they gonna grow up and they gonna do the exact same thing. So this is desensitizing the public to the fact that it is okay to desensitize your kids to weapons, your small children to weapons, and basically it's just reciprocating more violence. Because of course this was done for a reason. All of this was done for a reason. The crown is for a reason. The gun in the back is for a reason. The anklet is for a reason. All of this stuff is for a reason, and it is to further that agenda of basically living in impoverished conditions and furthering an agenda of violence, while supposedly they trying to do all kind of guns control and stuff like that. This is all a part of the plan. They create the problem, and then they give you the solution, and then they profit off of it. This is exactly what's going on, and Kendrick is just basically playing his part because he already knows at the end of the day, he knows where he's going. If you listen to the music, then he'll actually tell you in the music that he knows what's going on. He knows exactly what he's doing. He know what agenda he's pushing. He know where he's going, and he don't care. Like, he just trying to get his money for now. You know, if you listen, even back in on Damn, if you listen to All Right, like he's basically having a conversation with Lucifer on All Right. And he has another song called For Sale where he's openly having a conversation with Lucifer. And I remember, one of the things that he was saying is like, I remember you took me to the mall last week, baby. Like, why would Lucifer take you to the mall unless you was buddied up with Lucifer, and Lucifer was actually how you was getting your money? Now that makes perfect sense for Lucifer to be taking you to the mall. And even though All Right, he was talking to Lucifer. So like, this all of this from a person that has a Christ crown on his head. Why wouldn't you be having conversations with Christ? Even if you having struggles and stuff like that, and you you having temptations and stuff like that, why wouldn't you be talking to Christ about that type of stuff? Why wouldn't you be talking to God about that type of stuff? Why would you be having open conversations back and forth with Satan? Because this is to deceive you in plain sight. It's strategic deception. And we've broken down all of this, every single part of this artwork and the name, and now finally we can make some sense out of it, because beforehand, before any of those explanations, none of this makes any type of sense. How could you be Mr. Morale but you openly brandishing weapons in front of kids and putting them in unsafe environments where of course they gonna reciprocate that same type of thing? They gonna carry on that same cycle of violence. Now it makes sense though. Now it makes sense how you could sit there with the Christ crown on your head and be openly brandishing a weapon. Like, complete complete contradiction all around. Like, complete contradiction and complete blasphemy. So anybody that's in the kingdom and anybody that calls himself a Christian that's supporting this type of stuff, that there is nothing about this that says anything about Christian values, that supports any Christian values. It's completely the opposite, you know. And the Christ crown is basically just to deceive you and to desensitize you to all of the rest of the stuff. Everything in here is just to desensitize you. That's it. This is complete strategic deception all over the map. So, you know, to people that still want to argue otherwise after seeing all of this and hearing the whole breakdown and hearing where he's getting his ideals from and everything, like, you got to really question yourself. In like, that is considered idolatry when everything is right in front of you to support, you know, that somebody is doing wrong, but you still won't face the fact that that person is doing wrong, and you still won't stop supporting that person. That is the pure definition of idolatry. So us as people, especially in the kingdom, especially the Christian community, no, nobody should be accepting or let alone supporting anything that has anything to do with this album, with the name of the album, with the image behind it, or with what's going on, what's being said on the album. Because they're already giving you the image. They're already letting you know what this album is all about. It's already letting you know. So I've only listened to like maybe one or two of the tracks, and already I know that there's nothing positive about this album. This is going down a negative path. And that's what it's supposed to do. It's strategically to lead you down a negative path and to deceive you in plain sight and to lead you basically to hell. Now, the one thing I can say about one thing I can say about Lil Uzi is at least I can commend Lil Uzi in the fact that he got on stage and told his audience, well, yeah, I'm going to hell and all of y'all are coming with me. At least he openly told them, yeah, I know I'm going to hell and all of y'all are coming with me because you are here supporting me. You're listening to my music, so you're coming with me. But Kendrick, he even if he were to say that, a lot of people would still try to brush it under the rug and be like, yeah, whatever, whatever, yeah, well, he said that, but he still said he wasn't our savior. Like, but you still listening to the music, knowing that he's basically telling you that he's leading you down a dark path of destruction. Even going back to the Damn album, the name of the song was called For Sale with a question mark. So he's leaving it up to you to decide whether or not his soul is for sale or whether he sold his soul. And he's clearly telling you that he did. I remember you took me to the mall last week, baby, talking to Lucifer. But how could Lucifer take you to the mall unless you buddied up with Lucifer and Lucifer is how you get your money? He knows what he's doing. He knows where he's leading people and he knows what his argument is going to be on the day of judgment. He knows what his argument is going to be. He's going to point right back at the listener and be like, but they listened to me. I told them I wasn't their savior, but they still listened to me. I told them I was leading them down a dark path of destruction, straight into hell, and they still chose to continue to listen to me. So he's going to say that's not his fault. Now, I don't support that belief that on the day of judgment you just gonna get a free pass and be like, well, okay, well, I know you destroyed all kind of lives and that you led people basically down dark paths of destruction, but you did deceive them. Universal law, you did deceive them in plain sight. I don't support that. I don't support that belief. So you as the viewer, as the listener, y'all can make y'all decision. You can choose to keep listening to it. You can choose to not listen to it. You can choose to not even take nothing that I say and just, basically claim that I'm a hater trying to bring down another black man, like people love to say, or I'm demonizing success, or I'm basically making up or furthering devil propaganda and stuff like that, which we've already broken down the fact and found the proof that this is the devil's work. He's working for the devil. He's telling you that he's working for the devil and that he's leading you to the devil. What more do you want? Like, what more needs to be said for you to be like, okay, I'm not down with this. you know, but everybody makes their own decisions. You could agree to disagree. You can agree whatever you want. We all got free will at the end of the day. So it is what it is. I'm going to end this video with a Bible verse. So, and ye shall know them by their fruits. Now, Jesus said himself, this is Jesus' words himself. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them. Now, the biggest and most important fruit of the Spirit is integrity. Now, as after all of this breakdown and everything, and as you look at this artwork and everything, you cannot point one single thing to me that says integrity. There is nothing about this that says, okay, yeah, Kendrick has integrity, that he's that type of person. No, there's if you can point out one thing in here that you can legitly argue shows Kendrick's integrity, then I will take this video down. But I know that that's not gonna happen, like because there's nothing about it that can even be spent to say, oh yeah, that's integrity right there. Nothing about it at all. So with that being said, you know, I don't have nothing against Kendrick personally. You know, I hope that he repents and comes back to the right side. But he's already let us know the decision that he made. He signed the contract. He's fulfilling his duty to the contract, which is to continue to deceive the public and lead them down a dark path of destruction. So, you know, he can lie all over his artwork all he want, and you know, position himself in a way that he wouldn't even live in, just to where it conditions you and desensitizes you to those situations, to those conditions. So that's his choice. He made his choice. He knows where he's going. He knows what he's going to have to face on the day of judgment. So, but what about you is the question. The listener, the viewer, the person that's supporting this type of thing. Who's touching and agreeing with it and saying, "Oh yeah, that's okay. I don't see nothing wrong with it." And even if you do see something wrong with it and continue to still listen and continue to still watch this type of stuff, you are basically touching and agreeing with it and saying, "Yeah, I support this." So, if you want to support somebody just because they rap good and not because they actually have ideals that you support, then that says more about you than it does about the person that's actually pushing a satanic agenda. You know, if you don't mind listening to it and supporting it. But hey, that's just my opinion. Like I said, we all got free will. I'm gonna go ahead and end this video because it's my second time recording it, and I'm gonna let that be that. But at the end of the day, stay blessed, stay prosperous, stay prayed up, stay abundant, man. And I love y'all. Like from the bottom of my heart, I love y'all. And that's the only reason why I make these videos, cuz I don't get paid for this or nothing like that. I do it out of the love of my heart and the fact that I don't want to see people going down a negative spiral, you know, and basically being dragged to hell by somebody that don't care nothing about them and that's just in it for the money. So I love y'all. Take care, and I'm out.